What's up, guys? Welcome to yet another political rambling from yours truly. And today I wanted to just discuss in general what it is to be a citizen of a country because I feel like when you listen to politics, you tend to take for granted certain things until it's brought up to your attention. Hey, Dan. So I decided let's just go ahead and talk about this because I've never had this topic. And I remember that back in like whenever we had the last election, like when Donald Trump was a candidate, he was going off on some Hispanic reporter about how he was rude because he just started blurting out questions. His name is like Jorge or something. And basically, he started to make questions pretty like bluntly about immigration because that's a hot topic. And as you guys know, we are under a partial government shutdown over this little war in the southern border and whatnot. And I remember that at the time when I heard the comment from this one randomer who was telling this journalist, despite having US citizenship, that he needs to get out of my country, I'm thinking, you know, what is even the point of a foreigner becoming a US citizen if in the end you're still going to be treated like you're some kind of like they're not going to give you the respect that you have been naturalized and therefore your opinion in this country legally and politically actually matters. You went through the citizenship process, you went through the naturalization process, which let me tell you, when I look at that stuff, it's actually a pretty expensive process. It takes a long time. And then you go through all that trouble because you're trying to do things right and come to the country legally and whatnot. But for some reason, you are still going to be treated like your voice does not matter, your opinion does not matter. So, from that point of view, I like to side with the immigrant because it's like, yeah, some people can be true pricks about it. You can be complete douchebags about it. You take your citizenship for granted because you were born here, and then you think that you're better than someone else and other people are inferior to you for whatever reason. I just want to explore why that's the case. What is the psychology of people who do that? What is going through their mind that when they do that? Are they just truly like people who hate on foreigners? Like, what's that word? Is it xenophobia or something where you're actually scared of foreigners? Um, and or it's just because I cannot imagine going around and shouting at people who I don't know, "Hey, get out of my country," just because they sound a little funny and because they are not naturally born here. What does that even give you? What kind of satisfaction does that give you? Why do you have to be that kind of person? I truly, genuinely would like to know the psychology of the people who do that because I personally do not go around doing that. I have never ever considered doing that myself. So I would not enjoy to be treated in that manner. And just because I personally look and sound a little different, people make assumptions about me, and then I'm like, you know what? I don't have to explain to you anything. But if you were my employer or if you were someone who's trying to get me into some school, I can always prove what you dread, which is that I have US citizenship. The only thing that's different about me is that I just sound different. And of course, I am a mixed person. So, of course, I'm not going to just be black and white, which for some reason that's what people associate with the United States, although the United States is like a huge country, vast land, and therefore people are going to be different forms, sizes, colors, and shapes. But, anyways, that's beside the point. But I just thought that I would bring this up because it was interesting for me to just be researching how citizens that become naturalized get treated regardless of, like, despite all the work that they went through. And I just wanted to hear what you guys have to say about that. Have you ever heard someone abusing someone who's naturalized, or someone who's a resident at least? And how did that make you feel? And just what do you think is going through that person's mind to make them feel superior to someone else just because of your citizenship? I think that as a citizen of your country, you never really think about what it means to be a citizen. Like for me, I always take for granted the fact that I can be anywhere I want to that says US, and I can stay there as long as I want to. The money that I have is valid. I don't have to think about converting my currency. I don't have to have a passport even if I'm leaving the continental United States. Like if you were to visit places like Guam and stuff, you don't need to present a passport. And other territories like in the Antilles and whatever. So, you know, other people who seek to live in this country, it's like that's what they want. They would like those privileges. They want to stay here for a long time. They want to participate in politics. They would like to enjoy the resources of this country. And we, as citizens, we get to enjoy that stuff. But we don't think about those who try to come over here to live a normal life just like we do as citizens, and the hefty fines that they have to pay. Like you have to pay for the application, you have to pay, of course, to have a passport, if you're going to have a visa, if you're going to have a visa to work. There are so many different kinds of documents that you need, and they have deadlines like every 10 years or so. You have to renew your residency or something. I forget what it's called. And not only that, but if you want to go and fully immerse yourself into being a citizen, that mess can take a long ass time to process. I heard something about 10, 15 to 20 years for something. Like, I think it's the actual citizenship, or maybe the actual citizenship is just like 8 years cumulative of cumulative work. And then you have to document your you have to be able to prove that you have been living here and you have been working here and paying your taxes and shit. You know, when you're born here, you don't think about that mess. That mess just happens naturally. You belong here. You have your social security number, you have your ID, you have your birth certificate. All you gotta do is practically show up somewhere. But is it even worth it to go through the stress of obtaining citizenship if you're going to have to deal with those deadlines and keep up with your money? Like, you're making a modest amount of money when you are starting off because, like, I don't know if it's done here as well, but I think in the UK, when you start working, what you make is not actually what you get to keep. You have to, they withhold something from you until you have like a legal status, and then they reimburse it to you. So, you know, it's like, unless you're already rich, I want to say, do not even try to live in another country because you may think that you're escaping evil from your country, but when you think about it, you got to start from rock bottom unless you have many, many, many acquaintances here that can facilitate the process. But if you are a single person all by yourself and you're waking up one morning, let's say that you're from somewhere in Europe or Asia or something, and you're like, I want to live in the United States, you better have a lot of resources behind you and a lot of money because this mess is it's just that it's a mess. And please do not have kids because it only gets worse from there. And just because you have a child who's born here, I believe that in some instances they're not inherently citizens, but maybe that's part of the thing that they're fighting about in present times. You know, if someone was here illegally, why do we have to grant that child birthrights? You know, my personal opinion on that one is, see, I think that the child is not guilty of the parents' decisions. And if they're born in the country, they are creatures who need help. They need defense, they need care. But I can see why we might be upset that if someone who's not here legally has a child and the child is granted citizenship, and because the child needs parents to be alive, we somehow have to pardon the parents and let them stay here. I have issues with that because there are people out there who are doing it right. They are going through the naturalization process and then having kids and then getting married and whatever. So, why do we have to be strict with certain people but not strict with other people? See what I mean? So, my personal opinion is that even though it sounds messed up, to me, to grant citizenship to a child who is from immigrant parents, it's somewhat on the unfair side because it's like an illegitimate child. You are born out of wedlock. You cannot expect to have the same privileges as being born within a marriage. It's like what I'm trying to say by that is that, say, if in fact it happened in my family actually, someone is from a European nation, like specifically Spain, they had an illegitimate child, and then that illegitimate child happens to be one of my parents, but they are not Spaniards. They don't have Spanish citizenship, and therefore I don't have Spanish citizenship. So that's what I'm saying. I think that if you are born under those circumstances where your parents were immigrants, then you're sort of an illegitimate child of this country. So why do the citizens need to carry on your bill? Maybe I'm missing the point. Maybe I'm just cruel and cold. You guys let me know if you see where I'm coming from, if you agree or disagree. But as someone who works hard for the stuff she has, and I'm a citizen of this country, and life is still difficult, for me and everybody, then it's. I understand the moral aspect of things, but at the same time, laws were made to be obeyed, even if we disagree with them. If we disagree with them, that's why we have a democracy, that's why we vote, that's why we try to elect the officials who are going to represent us in the best ways. But if you're coming from somewhere else and you just expect to be granted rights and privileges, there is a process that must be undergone because otherwise the whole planet may flock to our land. And although we are rich and big and powerful, there is only so much that we can do. See what I mean? But again, I'm just being very vague. I'm not really trying to be broad with my scope, but those are just a few things that come to mind when I think of this topic. And I just want for people to know that at least I'm thinking about it and I'm not taking certain perks of citizenship for granted. And I'm glad that I'm exploring this because it's like, wow, I'm glad that I am not really trying hard to leave the country. In fact, I'm not thinking about it. But even if I were, it's so easy to be discouraged. And you should be discouraged because they make it difficult for that reason. It's like if you made it easy to move around in the planet, then one country is going to look crazy, especially the richest one. So I'm just saying, don't take for granted the rights that you have in your country, especially if you're happy in your country. For me personally, politically, there's a lot of stuff I disagree with the way we do things, but this place can actually be a pretty good place. You just need to know how to live around here. If you are in a position where you ambition the wrong stuff and you want for things to go right, even though you don't have the resources to be enjoying that stuff, and you get in trouble, it's not the government's fault. It's your fault for not having your priorities straight. So again, that's just my personal opinion. Don't take me too seriously, but I thought I might share that. Let me see what the comments are saying. Old school bigotry. Yeah, I agree. I am finally early for once. Yay, Garuda. I don't care about legal foreigners. I think that some people will promote fear that boomers will have to foot the bill to bring people into the country through their taxes. See, it's just that having people residing in a country, it demands money. Like at some point you're going to get sick, you're going to need health care. At some point you're going to have children and your children will need education. Who pays for that? It's like when you go to restaurants, when you go to a restaurant, you think normally you think, oh, I'm paying $9 for this burger. But in the grand scheme of things, you're paying for all of the ingredients, the person who prepared it, the napkins, the table, the supplies to keep the table clean, the supplies to keep the kitchen clean, the electricity bill, basically the utility bills, and little things like that. You're thinking about it as very simplistic. Oh, this burger cost me $9. But when you think about everything that it takes to give you the burger, you really don't think about that. So that's what I'm saying when it comes to citizenship. You think, oh, I'm a U.S. citizen, but you're not really thinking about what it means to be a U.S. citizen, like the power that that grants you within this country. And yes, us citizens have our complaints about the stuff that the government does and does not do for us, but the sole fact that you are not being like persecuted for your status and someone is actively trying to kick you out just because you don't have a few papers, that to me is a huge perk. It's a huge privilege already. Whereas there are other people out there who they have to be stressing about this. They have to be like, oh, within a year, I have to maybe go back to my country and have paperwork resubmitted, and I need to make sure that I have money for that if I gotta come back. It's just this cycle that, as someone who likes to have a routine, and I freak out anytime something changes, like when the rules at my apartment site change, I tend to freak out. I'm a creature of habit. Imagine these folks. You need to have like another level of, what is it, discipline to make this work for you, because I feel like I would do super terrible at it, especially if you're alone. Like, to me, my biggest fear is being alone at it. Maybe most of the people who succeed at it definitely must have had some help, or maybe some people try to use the marriage as a ticket. But when you think about it, it's just crazy that at some point we all were children of immigrants. How did they make it work for them? But the more time that passes, the more difficult it becomes for you to be a citizen, especially the tests that you gotta take. Of course, you did not go to school here when you were growing up, but us citizens, are we thinking about U.S. history like that? No, we're not. We just go to school, pass it, and after that, most of the knowledge becomes obsolete. But we are demanding foreigners to learn about our history. And how much do we respect our history, except for certain amendments? Or, well, let's just say the amendments in general. But, if I were trying to be a citizen of another country, it's like knowing that I'm going to be tested, and sometimes I'm not a very good test taker. And when you're an adult, you have to work, and God forbid if you have children, there's a lot of stress that you're putting up with. Do you think I have the mind to study from a book, study some facts, and memorize it? Like, hell no. So, as a citizen, again, it's a huge privilege that once you pass it in grade school, you don't have to worry about that junk. But if you're a citizen from another nation and you're trying to come here and you're applying for citizenship, it's like you have to go to school again, in a sense, just for social studies, which, don't get me wrong, it's important for you to know how this country works. It definitely is. But when I think about specific details, it's like, come on, man. It's not even like we learn real history in school anyway. So, but anyways, I'm just talking smack now. But just so you know that I'm thinking about all those little things as well. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Uh, Dang it! I hate it when I lose my spot. Okay. Okay. I support immigrants in USA if they are legal. I have nothing against legal immigrants. Yeah, I have nothing against people who come here legally either. The only time I have problems with immigration is when people expect for us to just function on morality. Okay, morals are great, morals are important, but realistically, there needs to be control. That's why every country ever has their own set of rules and laws, and all of that is set in place to for the sake of maintaining order. Because if we don't have those things, there will be chaos. But if there are consequences in place, life tends to be better, you know? But I understand that some countries really, really have it rough. Like, there are places out there that are not safe, and I can see how they want to come to the US because there's not, at least there's not an active war within the soil. Like, our wars tend to be more of ideology and but it's not like we are a place that's consistently blowing up. Like somewhere there's this explosion or something. We don't have anything like that. It's just a more this is a more safe country than not. But I just think that to just expect for like a country to just maintain you because you have it rough where you come from, it's frustrating. Trust me, I've struggled. Of course, my struggle has been different because I'm a citizen, but but you need to do things right. You need to respect the law. You need to obey it, even if the history of this country is messed up. Present day has its stuff established. If you don't respect that, there will be consequences. So I do believe that the consequences are pretty fair. But anyways, that's just coming from me, you know. I'm just an average person, but anyways, I totally agree with you 100%. I'm an immigrant, now a citizen, and I have always been around other immigrants who don't always acclimate and just stay with it within their own group. And I can understand that. I can understand that when, especially if you come to another country and you are an adult, like you have a life established somewhere else, assimilating can be a difficult thing. But at the same time, you cannot expect to be able to maintain your customs and for them to be seen and respected to the degree that you are accustomed to. We tolerate it, but for you to expect that we celebrate your holidays, for example, that would be kind of weird because you are the one who came over to our land, and in our land, we have our stuff going on. We can tolerate your stuff and learn from you and perhaps appreciate what it is that you contribute. But I feel like the folks who do not assimilate, they're not necessarily the root of all evil. They're not necessarily a problem. But I feel like a lot of miscommunication takes place because if us citizens do not necessarily conduct ourselves in the manner that you do, then we are seen as the ones who are being oppressive and disrespectful. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but no, that's just not what we're used to. And this is not something that we're used to in our land. So, but when it comes to disrespecting an immigrant just because they are immigrants, I think that is terrible. We need to definitely hold those people accountable who treat people like that, especially those who say, get out of my country. That's that's just absolute ignorance. But yeah, when it comes to assimilating, if I were going to another country, I would not have problems assimilating because if I'm going to that other country, it's because I like their resources in the first place. If I didn't, why would I have an interest in going there? If I want to go there, it's because I want to implement myself into that society, not alter it. I will only alter it to contribute my skills and knowledge and abilities for the betterment of that society. But I cannot expect for that society to get used to me because I'm the one who's coming into that land. I'm the one who's invading the land. But again, like I said, it doesn't help that we have a pretty like violent, nasty past. I mean, which country doesn't? But yeah, that's pretty much where I stand on that one. Let's see, where am I at? La, 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 la. I cannot go to China as an immigrant. As a nation, we have made it ridiculously difficult for immigrants and as if they are on probation. On that note, I totally agree. And I really want to explore why. And when you think about it, I think that's something that's happening across the board because I did a little bit of reading on how to become, say, a UK citizen. And I'm like, okay, it doesn't sound so complicated, but it can very easily get complicated if you don't have your documentation straight, if you don't have your whatever it is that you need, if you don't have it straight. Like, for instance, I read something about you needing references from British citizens, and those British citizens have to supply their passports and junk. And I'm like, okay. And on top of that, you have to read to some books to take this one exam. And I'm like, I was always bad at world history. So what makes me think that attempting to become a citizen is going to be better? And I hear that the Brexit stuff is not necessarily altering that by much, but I think that every rich, powerful nation is pretty much trying to make it difficult to become a citizen of another country or of that country. And I mean, it makes sense because at some point there has to be control. Like there is only there is limited resources. And again, we are rich, we are powerful, but there has to be a control. There has to be discipline of some sort. I'm just really bad at phrasing it because I'm not very knowledgeable on specifics. I've just recently begun to look into this because, again, when you're a citizen, you take it for granted and you don't tend to dwell on this stuff. But I find it fascinating to at least learn about it. Uh, let's see. Every child born here should be a citizen. However, people having kids just to try to get citizenship themselves. Exactly. That, Craven, is what I have issues with because it is a form of fraud, if you ask me. And on top of that, at the end of the day, it is your child who's going to suffer the consequences because your parents are not here legally and at any time they can be taken away, and then people who are being deported, they are trying to use the argument of, oh, I have a child and my child is a US citizen, therefore that entitles me. No, you still have to go through the process. You still have to apply, you still have to pay for whatever it is that you have to pay to initiate the process. Sorry, together, because you're trying to gain sympathy and try to turn it into a moral problem. Did you think about that before having a child? You know, you gotta be responsible. No matter what, you have to be responsible. So if you want for your child to have a better life, and having a better life means that they need to stay in this country, okay, your child stays, but you have to go and come back the right way. Because once again, there is a reason why we charge those fees. They are our resources. So I'm just saying, it might sound cold, but again, when you involve morals, I think that is problematic because then everybody ever could have a moral reason to do it. Like, say, oh, I am a refugee, I am escaping from this and that. Okay, we can have consideration for certain cases. But let's pick me for example. Let's say that I am sick and I cannot afford health care in my country, and then I go knocking on Britain's door, going like, you know what? I am sick. I need free health care. Save my life. Why the hell do the British need to save my life? What have I contributed to their society? Why do they have to go out of their way to save my life? See what I mean? So, of course, you could turn it into a moral issue of, well, you are a human being, you are a daughter, you are someone's sister, you are someone's wife or something. Still, you do not need to feel compelled to save my life because I'm not contributing anything to your society. And are a member those who are members of your society and they get up every day and show up to their jobs and they participate in their taxes and whatever the laws are like over there. I'm just assuming that they're kind of similar to the US. But it's like they don't owe me anything. They don't have to do anything for me, because if they do that for me, they have to have considerations for other members of their community, and other aspects. Like, of course, healthcare is not a problem for them, but when it comes to other things, if you're going to turn everything in life into a moral issue, how would we progress as a society? There has to be some control and some limitations at some point. And that, I guess, is where the issue becomes controversial. And that's why we have all these debates circling around. But I used to be the kind of person who, no matter what, I sided with ethics and morals and, well, ethics all the time, but the moral aspect of things. But now that I'm older and I work and I pay taxes and I have responsibilities, bills, and all that, it's like you just have to be responsible. You need to be knowledgeable. You cannot accept being ignorant on certain matters. And if you're going to argue something, debate something, you need to have a very, very good argument. And I feel like a lot of people just don't. A lot of people go by emotions and feelings. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but emotions and feelings they're not exactly what maintain infrastructures. See what I mean? Skills and power, knowledge, that does, but not emotions. But again, that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm just missing the point. There is some stuff that I will not understand. There is there are some ideologies from, say, the conservative side that I get, and I do not identify myself as a conservative. And that there are some ideas from the left that I can be like, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. But in the grand scheme of things, when you think about stuff critically, usually there is something that you are missing and you're not considering. And that's why I think that sometimes we need to put our biases aside, even though it's difficult, and just accept hearing both sides, and do so in a way where your feelings do not get in the way. That was the problem I used to have. And discussing this stuff with me used to be impossible because I was like, no, that is messed up. That is wrong. This is why. But now that I actually know how to listen, it's like, yeah, it makes sense that there are laws and rules and fees and penalties and consequences and all that stuff. So, but anyways, maybe a few years down the road, I'll something else will happen and I'll be like, you know what? I used to think one way, then I changed, and now I go back to thinking the way I thought originally, and this is why. But I think that's the beauty of life. As you experience things, experience is what gives gives you shape. So maybe I'll change my views. Maybe this is it for me. But anyways, there is evil everywhere. Let's see. Where am I at? Good God, I'm really behind. I am from the Caribbean, and my island was owned by the USA, sold out by the Dutch, and I am full black. Anyone born in the USA has citizenship. Oh, and anyone born in a US base has citizenship. Wasn't that McCain? Like, wasn't he born in Panama and therefore in a Panama base, but then he was still a US citizen? And aren't children who are born in other countries to two US citizens also US citizens? I think that is the case as well. So it's not necessarily limited to US soil. Let's see. Not as pretty as you, but the Dutch sold the land to the USA. I thought you were Portuguese. The Spanish bloodline makes sense. You can pass as a Spaniard. Spaniard women are cute, but personally, you take the cake. I appreciate that. I am a full black, a big and big lives. I am not mixed with Spain or Egyptian. At some point, we will have a global world empire. Traveling won't even feel the same. You know what? I I always think about that so much. I'm always thinking I am human. This planet at some point there were no boundaries. Like established by mankind. There were no fences, there were no like birds. Do birds have their citizenship checked when they fly from the US border to the Mexican border or the Canada border, US border? You know, such carefree creatures. What would it be like to be a free roaming, carefree human? I feel like the sole fact that I am breathing and living, I should be allowed to explore the lands, but of course, nations, civilizations, rules, laws, those things were implemented to maintain order. I get it. But when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it's just a shame that you don't get to really explore the planet, although you're a citizen of the planet. See what I mean? It's like I know that in my lifetime, I'll probably never go to Europe or Asia or Australia or places like that. And it's sad, South America, and it's sad because they're each country has like their special thing going on. Like, especially when it comes to nature, it's like some places have rainforests, other places have deserts, other places are permafrosts. So to know that I will not get to see a lot of that just because my bank account won't allow it, when I think about it, it's like if you can travel nowadays, it's because planes had to be invented and to better them, you needed to have people who were smart working around the clock to make planes better so that they can fly those distances safely. And that's why you need money and to keep these people working, because if you did not need to work, people probably would not work and we would not advance as a species. But but still, it's like it feels like your experience in life is limited. You're being deprived of a lot, especially if you're someone who comes from an underprivileged background. See what I mean? So some people may be born in like a really tiny island town or city and they never get to go out from that. So it's sad when you think about it. It's like a bird that's in a cage and you never get to fly. See what I mean? But maybe that's a poor example. But what I'm trying to say is that so much to see, so much to do in the planet, but a lot of us don't get to because resources are limited. And even those who have all the resources in the world to explore the planet, it's like at some point it gets boring for them because they can afford to do all that. So it's like they really don't have anything to look forward to because it's they can count on the fact that they can do all that. So maybe that's why rich people may get bored at some point and they think that the planet is too small. See what I mean? Whereas if you're someone who has to constantly work hard and stick to a routine and discipline to make things work for you, you don't take things as for granted as other people might. I don't know. I'm not rich, so I'm just assuming that that's what happens once you have pretty much done everything you've wanted to do. Let's see. At some point, we will have a global world empire. Okay, big nose, big lips. Not on my watch. My ancestor was part of the Ottoman Empire. We live in a Roman Greek times. Dude, Garuda legends. I don't have a big nose. That's all you. I like the government. They oftentimes save people from themselves, but of course, big government, just like individuals, have faults. Exactly. Wisdom says we are all and we're all immigrants. History repeats itself. Everyone has their faults. Jerry, let me repeat it proper. Big black fat nose and big plant. Wait, tongue twister. And big black plump lips. Jew is not a race. Jew is a religion, right? Jewish? Yeah, that's totally a religion. I should know that. But yeah, it's not something I have really explored. Build that wall nice and tall. Immigrants have to sign up to be indoctrinated, but somehow many immigrants still hold strongly to their roots. Yeah, it's like when you have that engraved on you when you're a kid, it's difficult to break from that. So to expect for an immigrant, especially one who is let's say above the age of 20 or maybe even a little younger. But to expect for them to adopt to the doctrine is it's insane. It's madness because you just cannot forget your roots. You just cannot. So, but anyways, we can try all we want, but that's just the truth. I'm from Nigeria, but I don't see why America cannot get the wall built. It's common sense to me. See, the thing about the wall is that even if we were to build it, there are still ways to bypass it. There are still ways to come into the country illegally. It's like hacking. No matter how much you update your security, someone out there is making their skills better, honing their skills, becoming smarter, finding ways to bypass things. People will find ways to bypass the wall. But of course, if you build the wall, you will make it difficult, of course. And there are areas of the wall that definitely do need attention, like some fencing just definitely needs to be redone. But but again, people are going to find ways around it. But but anyways, I guess we can try. And while we're talking about the wall, am I for or against the wall? Honestly, it's difficult to tell because what was wrong with the wall that we had besides the decaying conditions of it? Because, just like any infrastructure, you have to maintain it. But what worries me is that, okay, more taxes are going to be taken away from me and a lot of my interests are still not being addressed. See what I mean? So my paycheck keeps shrinking because the government keeps taking money, but they are focusing their energy on stuff when we have our personal problems in our community to deal with that I believe have more urgency. And for some reason, we're not doing anything about it. See what I mean? But anyways, maybe there is a legit threat at the wall and we just don't know it. But what can I say? I only know whatever gets reported out there if the information gets to me. We are in a particular time in our country that is making it particularly difficult to become an immigrant. It's similar to the IRS rules and bureaucracy that needs to be simplified and fair. Facts. The globalists want to allow 100 million people in the United States within the next 20 years. That is catastrophic for our environment, overcrowding and pollution. Imagine 1 billion Americans. Oh my goodness. Yes. Pollution over here is already pretty bad as it is with our current number of people in our nation. So then don't forget about the fact that just because the US is like massive, there are areas that are not adequate to be inhabited. Like you don't want to be in the desert. You don't want to be in these like the core of the Rocky Mountains, right? I don't think anyone wants to be in that land. So that is a pretty big area. So we're talking about the metro areas becoming more crowded, which even the country areas are starting to feel crowded. All this traffic, there seems to be more cars and people. So that is a legitimate concern. So, of course, we have to be tough with our immigration laws and have control over that. And then, if you keep, imagine if all American citizens could just reproduce all at once and we all had our own babies. And on top of that, we have to be admitting foreigners. Like, I get it, we admit foreigners because some of them have skills, some of them come on behalf of the company and whatnot. But isn't that sad though? Some foreigners use their education and their skills as a way to be admitted into the union, whereas some citizens are not even getting an education and you get to stay here and yeah, you'll be from like the poor class of people, but you get to stay and if you feel like it at some point you can improve your financial status. But you see, some folks come here with that privilege, like, oh, I was born with brains and I can maybe be crafty and my skills are needed in the US because their citizens are not becoming educated in these fields. See what I mean? So we are still going to have immigration coming in, even if we decided, you know what, zero immigrants. But then again, how likely is that? How possible could that even be to absolutely ban all immigration? That would be terrible. We would be in the news for the wrong reasons, which we already are, especially anytime there's a gun situation. So, yeah. Sorry, I just went rambling there, but that's the thing about topics like this. You think about something, then something else comes to mind, something else comes to mind, and then, I just never know how to go back to my original point. Globalists need to understand that the world has enough earth for everyone. Let people build great things everywhere. So need to say everyone should come to one place. To one place. I can agree with that. This place is incredibly massive, yes, and there are still places to be discovered. But I honestly feel like some governments try to instill this fear in us. But the thing of it is that as our technology advances, we may also live longer. So if we live longer, what can I say? We see our offspring having their offspring having their offspring. So at some point, there will be a lot of people and not enough earth. And at some point, we have to reshape the land to accommodate people. People will need houses and whatnot. But speaking of houses and properties, rich people, for example, that they go around just buying up places. Do you guys ever sit down and think about how much space is wasted? Like the other day, I was telling someone, okay, if you are a single person, and let's say you are dating someone, and that person you are dating also lives by themselves, why would you not want to live together? Because you could be sharing a home, splitting the bills, and someone could be living in one of your places, someone who actually needs it. But then when you gentrify certain places and you build up homes, there are a lot of homes that end up empty unless you come from a privileged background and you can live it up. But even people who can afford nice places in nice spots, they may buy places that have more than one room, even though they're by themselves. It's like we like to ambition that type of stuff, but if you think about it from a, I guess, what is it, efficient point of view, there's a lot of space that's just wasted. I wonder at any given time how many homes out there are empty that someone could be living in. I'm not trying to suggest that you should just give away homes and let people live for free just cuz. But for the people who own more than one property, it's like, what happens to the other property? You may not necessarily keep it deserted, but if you are the owner and you are not living there and you don't have family living there either and you just have servants fixing it up, like, what is it like to have that mindset? That mindset, that compulsion of I need to own property. I need to have XYZ homes, and like I need to have a home in one country, a home in another country, three homes in my country, and own, like, say Trump and his golf courses, which he talks more about than politics. What is that like? It's all that dead space and you're not even there often enough, depending on what you're doing. See what I mean? That sounds like a waste to me. But if he were giving it to people, like, okay, I'm gonna buy up this place so that people of lower income can afford a lower rate, like a rent at a lower rate, then all right, I've earned my peace in heaven. But it's weird. It's weird to me. I guess I just lack ambition and I cannot process that stuff. But I thought I would mention it because I think it's interesting. Let's see. Where was I at? Oh, I scrolled way ahead. What is that sound? Okay. Um, Shoot, I lost my place, guys. Bear with me. Okay, here I am. I cannot tell the difference between a so-called EU and a European unless they dress like a Jewish person. What does a Jewish person dress like? I mean, I know that they have that little thing that they wear on their head. What's the name of that little hat? Like, it looks like a. I don't even know how to describe what it looks like, but it's like this circular napkin looking thing. What is that called? I know it has to have an official name, guys. So pardon my ignorance, but I have never explored Jewish stuff at all. You think globalists cared that there's enough Earth for everyone? Nope, less people are easier to control. Yep, that's true. Some people fall in love with a US citizen through online chat and then want to come to live here so they can get married. Sounds legit. There's a lot of stories of people who have met online and gotten married and changed their lives and stuff. The internet is a trap more than Caitlyn Bruce Jenner. Oh, don't even push my Caitlyn button. Nigerian scammers love the internet. Garuda truth. Be right back. Wish me luck. I live in the hood. High five. Be right back. You're too cute. Even if you were here illegally, I would let you stay. My mother was born in Kingston, Jamaica. Bird in a cage on a butterfly was an excellent analogy. I'm glad you saw what I was trying to say there because seriously, sometimes I feel like there's if you guys have Twitter or something, they have accounts that are called nature or earth pics and stuff. And I like to click on those profiles and they show places from around the world and Thailand, they have beautiful places. I'm a sucker for waterfalls. And there's like this one forest in Germany that looks really cute and then France has their little lavender fields or something. I forget. And then you see every place has their stuff going on, but I won't get to see much of that. That sucks. And then of course, a place I would like to visit is Alaska, but I'm not sure I want to mess with that weather for more than a week. I think I could do like a 4 day trip, but yeah, no, I could not be a resident over there. But that's cool because I have a U.S. citizenship, that means that I am entitled to exploring Alaska if I feel like it. But it feels like another country of its own. And then Hawaii, I have considered it, but the Pacific. I have never been farther west than Kansas or Texas. I guess it depends on which city I was at. In Kansas, I have not gone any farther west than Junction City. And then in Texas, I have been to San Antonio. And I have been at the Dallas airport, but not outside the airport. So whichever is farthest west, that's the farthest west I've been. So, but yeah, and it's crazy. The land is so much different. I'm in the East Coast, and of course, Kansas, it was so flat. Like, people were telling me about it, like, oh yeah, it's really flat here. And I'm like, cool. And then I'm like, it is so flat that you can actually see storms rolling in, like from miles of road signs that had like the sunflower symbol in it. That was cute. But over here, there's so many trees and pines, and mind you, that we have had a shit ton of deforestation. Imagine what the land looked like. I saw this picture that it was about the distance that squirrels could travel from tree to tree without needing to touch the ground. And then it showed the map just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking into fewer and fewer trees. And then I keep looking at what's happening around every city I go to or every town that I go to. And I'm like, oh, that's getting remodeled. That's having a construction. There's some landscaping going on. And then we end up with all these floods. And then we're like, what's happening? Why are the storms getting worse every year? Of course, stuff is going to get flooded because you are getting rid of trees, which they normally hold a zillion gallons of water. I don't know how many gallons, but thousands. And you're also laying down concrete. That water is not like permeating, it doesn't have anywhere to go. So of course you're going to have floods because the land is, you're not letting it saturate like it's used to. And then some places have a sinkhole problem. But anyways, we don't deal with disaster. We don't deal with disaster prevention. We just wait for disaster to happen and then try to come up with solutions. But anyways, we need to work on your confidence as far as money goes. I wonder why you feel that you are trapped in a poor life forever. Yeah, you're right. It's just that, honestly, how can I better phrase it? I doubt my capacity in a lot of ways because I get in my own way. Like, I know that I have some talents that could get me out there, and it's just that it's not the way that I was raised. Like, I was not raised to be ambitioning things. And I don't, when I say ambition, I don't want to limit it to just material things. It's just that I like to have enough to be comfortable. And I feel like the less, the fewer things that I have, the fewer things I have to worry about. And I am someone who's very susceptible to stress. So I associate that the more responsibilities that I give myself, the worse off I am. But it's interesting that you bring up that point. I'm glad that you bring it up because I've been learning to criticize myself for that. But I just cannot wrap my head around being serious about starting a business, and I can have little grinds on the side that I can manage and handle. But if something gains momentum, I freak out. Like last year around this time, that's when I was starting to get subscribers in here, and I'm like, oh no, like I, I was kind of panicking because I was not prepared for that. It's like, okay, I know that anytime I do something and put it out for the public, anyone has the potential to find it, and it has the potential of just snowballing into something big and gaining momentum. But when it was actually happening, I was like, oh, please make it stop. And now I'm actually losing subs. So it's like, okay, I'm going back to having a smaller, manageable group. But it's just weird. The best way I can explain why I get in my own way is because I'm just scared of stress. And then you might say, oh, but isn't it stressful if you have a situation where you need you need money to resolve it? Of course I live on the edge and I'm worried about a lot of things, but it's like I don't know how to handle it, and quite frankly I never had guidance when it comes to that. So this is all relatively new to me. Thinking that I can have financial independence is a very, very, very new concept for me. And I had the mindset of needing to be dependent on someone and not being self sufficient. Like, I always thought that the only way for you to survive is you have to work for someone else. I never thought about, how do businesses start? How do corporations start? I sort of thought that's something that has always been around. But now, thanks to the internet, you can research and explore and read and find out stuff. But yeah, uh, when it comes to that, finances, money, business, investments, my brain is this big. So I'm just very ignorant. That's it. I'm not astute enough. But I'm always open to hearing what you guys have to say. But me making a move, it'll just take me a long time. I gotta take very baby steps. But yeah, thanks for bringing that to my attention. Maybe I should do a separate stream on that. I'm trying to buy multiple properties, but to fix them so someone can buy it and live in, not for my personal use. Yeah, that I do believe in. I think it's cool if you restore places because sometimes I go driving around and I see all these old abandoned homes and I'm like, is anyone living there? Is that in a beat up shape because someone cannot afford to fix it? Is it an old person who's alone or sick? Or what is happening to that old, moldy, dilapidated home? Can something be done about it? So I've thought about that. I'm like, it's like things. I usually do not buy things brand new. It's usually I go to a thrift store or like it's rare that I get new stuff. The idea of reusing something, recycling something, or if my jeans have a hole or something, I'm like, Mom, can you fix it for me? Because I don't know how to, stitch stuff again. But I will use something until it no longer has remedy, until it no longer can hold itself. But but yeah, it's unfortunately that's not the way I was raised. It's not the knowledge and education that I have. So only now am I starting to learn about that stuff. So my time in school was so wasted. I mean, but hey, I'm here. What matters is I'm here and I'm still breathing. So as long as I'm breathing, I think I have a chance. It's just be patient with me and have very very low expectations of me because it's going to take a while for me to wrap my head around thinking in that way. Sorry to disappoint you if that disappoints anybody. Those hats are called oh boy, is it yamakos? All right, capitalize where the strongest syllable is at. Yamakos. I'm gonna say yamakos. Two tiny Jerry curls on the side, a tiny shoal cap, and looks like the average white person. Some versions also wear all black with huge hats, and yes, the curls. And the women all wear wigs as well, so they're kind of easy to spot. Bernie Sanders? Anybody? Anybody? I can take you to St. Lucia to drink real spring water and take you to a hot spring bath in that same island next to a volcano. Spring water. I love spring water. That sounds amazing. Usually, when I get around to spring water, of course, it's been through plastic and all that, so it's not all the same. But I have been hiking to certain places and I have felt the temptation of going as high as I can safely go up the trail and then going like most delicious, pure, refreshing water ever. But then sometimes, then there comes the cynical part of my brain which goes, what's happening way up there? What is really trailing down this water? Can I really count that it's clean? Or is like some dead animal carcass just going to come streaming down and then I'm gonna go "Ugh." But again, that's just my anxiety being a bitch. But I know that's unlikely. But when you're out, isn't it crazy? When you're out, you question nature depending on where you're from. Whereas you never question the stuff that comes in your house through the faucet. Anything can happen, anything can be there, especially fluoride and all that stuff, and we don't question it. We trust that water, even though a lot of ingredients and additives and junk aren't even good for us. And then your pipes, they can be rusty, they can have all kinds of mineral buildup, and it's hitting your face and everything, and you're not thinking about it. So, you know, yeah, yeah, just crazy. But yeah, spring water, amazing experience, super clean. Some versions. Okay. I would never smoke weed in America, only in Jamaica where it's natural and fresh. In my opinion, it's not safe to smoke weed out here. Interesting. I never thought about that. I never thought about all the extra junk that drugs are going to have. I knew that cigarettes have like a ton of ingredients even in it. Isn't like tarmac, an ingredient, tar, like literally concrete that's in it. Acetone, isn't that another ingredient, like nail polish remover? I know there's a lot of junk in cigarettes, but I don't smoke, so I don't really think about it. And even if I smoked, I doubt I would be thinking about it. I just know that it stinks, and that's why I don't mess with it. It stinks, and it's not good for your lungs. Hello, where are you from originally? See, the thing about it is that if I answer that question, I'm going to be disclosing my location, and I ain't trying to do that. You know what I'm saying? But East Coast, USA. That's all you need to know. The negative, me and positive part of we go to St. Lucia is when you meet my mom. Born families, they will try to marry us. They are locals. When you meet my mom's family, Jews did 9/11. Jews did Pearl Harbor. Holocaust never happened. Fake news. House flipping is for people with bank. I don't have bank. I know, right? Like something that I am trying to start to do, which I am actually starting to do with my personal closet, is whenever I have a little extra money in the bank, I want to go to the thrift store and buy anything that's fancy looking that is in excellent condition and then flip the sale. It's like I know that there are dresses from a certain brand that I can buy for $6, and if I were to sell it online, I could list it for whatever price I want. I would try to flip the price by maybe 3 times as much. And depending on what it is and the condition, go to the website and being like, hey, about how much does this usually sell for? And I'm like, yes, I'm going to sell it for much more. So I find that a little more enjoyable because it's like I have to go out, find my product, find my resource. I'm being my own supplier, promote it somehow, and then see if it sells. So that's what I'm trying now. And today, actually, I sold something. I actually sold something that my mother bought a long time ago for like $3. And it looks cute. It looks nice. It's one of those belts that's like this thick. And it had a leopard print in it. And one of my colleagues said that they are interested in something like that. Where did I get it? And I said, I don't know. And then I showed them what it was, and that I made $10 from it. So it's exciting because I made $7 back. So it's like it's not much. It's a very small amount, but that motivated me to keep doing what I'm doing of showing people what I have that I am trying to get rid of. And then I'm like, yeah, originally this is what I paid for. I have used it so many times. The condition is still decent. So how about if I get maybe half of it back or something? It's small steps, but if I get used to grinding like that, maybe I can start thinking like a business person and be like, okay, this is how I do business. This is how I sell something. This is how I promote something, as opposed to just trying to straight up try to get rich, you know? But but maybe eventually I can have enough cash just stashed away to where I can do stuff like that, like buy a home and restore it and then flip the sale and whatnot. You have to start from somewhere. And I am trying to find that niche that I feel comfortable at. So it may be a very modest one, but again, I'm starting. I'm getting started. I'm trying to do something. But I was excited because I'm like, the sole fact that I sold something, it was exciting for me because I just never thought that that could happen. Another thing I find amazing is when it comes to selling stuff like clothes, my taste is like non-existent. Usually it's if I see something, I like it, I own it. But like music, if I hear it and I like it, I own it. Whereas I don't have a genre that I stick to. But once you find out what you're comfortable with, it's so easy to take off from there. See what I mean? But anyways, uh, yarmulkes. Okay, it looks like I got it right on my first shot. Jews own Hollywood, Jews control the media, Jews control American government. Actually, there are more regulations and rules on the quality of tap water than on bottled water. You know, that's true. I remember so vividly in my AP environmental science class this one picture that my professor, or well, doctor, since he has a PhD, showed us. And it was a picture of someone drinking water from a bottle, and it had soil, dust, sand, rocks in it, and mildew. And I'm like, ew. But when I think about it, oh yeah, it is dirty and whatnot. But yeah, that's true. See, the sole fact that something is being kept on plastic, it's a major red flag. So yes. Spring water next to a river, but you have to jump into a little tiny lake from a waterfall. Really? I have never jumped from a waterfall because maybe my anxiety just gets in the way, and I'm like, well, I have never explored the bottom of that waterfall. So, what's to keep me from jumping? And then there's actually rocks in there that I'm not seeing, and then I bust my skull open, or I end up all paraplegic, quadriplegic, pentaquadriplegic, and I just don't want to deal with that. But if there's a place that's explored and it's deemed as safe, heck yeah, I want to jump from a waterfall. I like waterfalls. Waterfalls are nice. They're so relaxing, like the sound of it. It's like I could fall asleep to that as my white noise. A separate place from the spring, water, and volcano. Pick the clothing and do ASMR when you're not in the changing room and rock them sexy dresses. Mirror ASMR. This is gold. Well, I will consider it. Although I have not forgotten that I owe you guys a leggings video. I just need to figure out how to put it together. Because a sister needs to buy a tripod, period. Because I have so many video ideas, but I don't get them done because the memory on my phone is much shorter than my attention span. And additionally, my creativity strikes me seasonally, it seems. It's like during the warmer weather, maybe my brain gets hotter and I can think better, whereas the cold weather makes me want to be all lazy and retreat. But but yeah, I have not forgotten that I promised the leggings video because Zam has a leggings addiction, and I already have a wish list of which ones I'm gonna get next. But I'm gonna be a good girl and I'm going to save that money because we do not need to be spending money on leggings when I can no longer reach the top of my leggings stack in my closet. I'll show you guys what my leggings side in my closet looks like. It's stacks upon stacks upon stacks upon stacks of leggings. Oh, let's see. I will hold you and jump into waterfall with you. Oh, that's great. Anything that I don't have to do alone, I am game. The Upside is a good movie. What the fuck did you say, Layings? I am having an enemy nosebleed. Hey, Master Roshi! You guys remember if you ever watched Dragon Ball Z how Master Roshi would bleed from the nose at the sight of any girl? Such a weirdo. Upping the quality is a valid step in your YouTube business, and yes, you are already a businesswoman. DBZ is life. Awesome! Yeah, honestly, the reason I don't have I guess better streaming quality on YouTube is because I do everything from my phone, which I am so grateful for it because when I started doing this, I didn't even know that I could make money off making videos. And I started this in like May 2016. It was 2016 toward the summertime. Um, but I just enjoyed the aspect of creating something. And then the computer that I have is like one of those basic ones that have a small memory and they require for you to have internet to access the so-called cloud. And I'm like, I don't have internet at home. And I don't get it because I don't want to. I'm trying to make money, not spend it. So for right now, what I am doing on the side is working for me well enough to where I can possibly get more reliable internet connections. But I don't have a lump sum of money to be spending on, say, a computer that has memory, a better camera, all that stuff. That stuff will come with time. But for right now, at least I'm starting on something, I'm putting myself out there, I'm building something, and then eventually I can have my little camera with my eternal memory card and then put up the videos that I have in mind, and maybe I'll discover that I actually can be a pretty good director. Although my idea of making videos, they do not involve a lot of production. It's all about showcasing something. Like do you guys remember that video that I made about how I perceive models? To me that was exciting because I had never made a video like that. I was able to have my mom join me so she could shoot me while I was, walking around. And to me that was exciting because it was the first time I got to film myself in full body. Yes, guys, I have legs. You probably did not know that. Nah, just kidding. But that's exciting for me because I loved to be in theater. I loved being an actress, although I was a terrible one. But it's I cannot wrap my head around the fact that I could actually turn that into a living. Because again, that is not how I grew up, what I grew up thinking. But now that I know that, it's like, okay, what will it take for me to get there? And that is what I am slowly but surely getting sorted. It just takes time, because there's a whole lot more going on in my life than what you guys get to see, and that is obvious. Every adult has that. But again, as long as I am not stressed and overwhelmed, stuff will happen. It's just going to take time. But I'm enjoying the ride, the building process. I'm enjoying it. It's just you just gotta be patient. So, yep. The busy is live. Oh yeah, Dragon Ball Z. Did I ever make an official Dragon Ball Z topic? I've discussed it, but I don't think I have. So maybe in the future we're going to do a Dragon Ball Z stream. I did a stream. It was like maybe 2 hours long of all the video games that I have, and it was nothing but Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball. Um, And what else? Oh yeah, Dragon Ball Super movie. Anybody going to see it? I am going to try to see it on Tuesday, but it's not a guarantee. But I am going to try to go see it on Tuesday. Um, it's supposed to have Broly in it, which the Broly movies, in my opinion, they were absolute shit. But the trailer itself looked pretty interesting, and it's under 2 minutes long. So I think that trailer is better than all the Broly movies that we had in the past compiled. You guys share your thoughts. If I do watch it, I will attempt to make a review. And I say attempt because I never reviewed Into the Spider Verse, and I already don't forgot the other movie I seen. Yeah, I don't remember which other movie I saw. But anyways, I'll try to be better about that. I'm very not confident about me doing movie reviews because again my retention is very poor, but the more I practice it, the more confident I become, the better I become. And besides, when I do movie reviews, it's all about having the conversation more than being the guide that people go to. Like I'm not trying to be the next Jeremy Johns, or what's that other guy's name who's really popular and reviews movies. Anyways, I'm not trying to be them. And you guys seem to enjoy when I talk about movies from time to time. So yeah, why not? So sometimes this looking at YouTube as my side gig, sometimes it gets a little tricky for me because I am not used to being praised for what I say and what I think and what I present. So to know that there's someone out there who, no matter what, likes what I have to say, it's something that you need to get used to. But anyways, it's fun. Honestly, I do it more for the hangout aspect. Let's see. Be right back. I need to fix this leggings nosebleed. I am back. I am a fisherman. Any fish leggings? No, please say no. I don't have. I thought that the Angry Birds pants that I have are leggings, but they're not leggings. They are a loose fit. They're kind of tight on the thighs, but at the ankles they're kind of like they are loose fitted. But yeah, it appears that Ruda forgot about my leggings video. Oh, well, the build up. It's got to be exciting. You have to spend money to make money if it will help your future, not more, not on more leggings. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's true. And honestly, the reason I waste money on clothes is because what can I say? I'm an emotional creature. So at least instead of impulse buying food and getting more like giving myself health problems and giving myself financial problems by having leggings. But now the problem is that I'm starting to eat like a beast and I'm turning into a whale, and now the leggings that I love so much are starting to feel tight and I'm starting to not be able to fit them. So I need to lose this winter weight already because it's depressing me. And then because I am a woman, I am going to fall victim to my emotions and then stress, spend money and all that. But I will get better. Again, it's a process. You're talking about mending a broken adult. So it's going to take time. But at least I have recognized where my faults lie. And that now, slowly but surely, I'm getting better. Now, the thing that I am interested in is learning about investments because I don't know a damn thing. But yeah, I did an investment stream a year ago and it did not go well for me at all. It sounded to me like you guys were talking to me in another language. And yeah, see, that's the thing. My schooling was just not that good. So now that I have grown up, I have to, what is it, reconfigure my brain, and it's just difficult, but at least I'm starting from somewhere, slowly but surely. um let's see. I am a leg man, rest in peace. Later, people, I won't make it. The nosebleed is too real. I don't know any female sexy leg size because I am a stupid male. Can you forgive me? I want to learn. Okay, I don't like legs. Legs are boring. I definitely don't care about female legs. Can see all. If someone likes what you say, no matter what, that is scary. But trust me, you are intelligent enough to make it, whether it's YouTube or flipping dresses. Well, it's just that I guess we live in a culture where there is a lot of celebrity gossiping. Well, that too, but worshiping, like we worship a lot of things, and it's amazing that you can make money out of pretty much everything. Like you can make money out of dying, you can make money out of your health, you can make money out of selling old stuff. Someone had the idea of saying, you know what if there was an app where people could come together, post pictures of their clothes, and just sell them? Someone had the idea of, let's make an app in which you can send money to people. Someone had the idea of, someone had a lot of ideas, and basically, you, what is it, copyrighted it, trademarked it, whatever. And then anyone who uses your idea and services, they have to give you money, you know? So everyone has the potential, and what is it? Everyone has the potential to get something done, but that's the problem. We're not trained to think in that way. We're not trained to think in a manner that we are self-sufficient enough to have our grinds. So that's what makes it tricky. But anyways, at least I'm becoming aware of things little by little. You guys are a wonderful source for me, very inspiring. And yeah, you guys just make me feel a whole lot better. But it also didn't help that, again, emotional creature, I was letting all my traumas and frustrations and depression and everything just get to me. But now that I am finally waking up and becoming woke from my dead state, it's like, wow, I have wasted so many years of my youth where I had so much energy, and now it's like, ugh. But at least I'm regaining my spirit. It's just a long process, but again, I'm not giving up. But yeah. So if I ever do something where you feel frustrated that I'm not turning it into something big, just keep being kind to me and just remember that I'm not always aware of all the little gold mines that I may be sitting on. But yeah, it's a matter of just spending time acknowledging that there's possibilities out there and just try something. So, but yeah, for right now, I just want to try this little grind of flipping sales on or flipping stuff on things that I already have. Like, I need to declutter my closet. There's a lot of things I don't wear. So I'm like, while I can, how about if I make a little bit of that money back? So, and some stuff I have been able to sell for much more than I paid for originally. So there is potential there to have the money. Let's see. Um, I don't do celebs anymore, Rose, anymore past the Rose. You don't need to have a brand new idea or invent something that makes things seem more scary. There are plenty of things to do that other people invented and already have a formula for. I be roasting celebs all day on TMZ. You do. Yeah, that's actually pretty fun when you take celebrities and just turn their lives into entertainment, which that's what they do. They're entertainers. But for me personally, I enjoy more the twists that average people like us do. Like, especially abridged series of everything. We talked about Dragon Ball. You guys definitely know about Team 4 Star, right? If you don't, you are missing out. I enjoy the abridged series much more than the original. So yeah, there's I like that about the internet. The stuff that people come up with, their own take on things. It's just fun. So, um yeah, if you're someone who's creative, definitely put your work out there. It is art. I still have to watch that. Oh, well, you definitely should. And I will do my best to steer away from spoilers. But it's definitely a work of art for me. Everything everything that they have done is absolutely good. And I am so excited to hear that they are still going to do the Boo saga from what I heard. So, yep. All right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure, but your girl needs to be wrapping up because she has to work tomorrow early in the morning and it's going to be below freezing. And I still have to take a shower and brush my teeth and feed the cat and clean the kitchen and all matter of stuff. But thank you guys so much for joining me. This was very entertaining. This was super fun. Like, of course, the conversation, like always, turned into something else, but that's cool because I cannot imagine focusing on that same topic for like over an hour. But this was a great stream. I'd love to get to know you guys a whole lot better. And then my phone is also giving indications that it wants to crap out on me. Like I'm starting to lag and stuff. Yep. Bye, love. Work tomorrow on a holiday. That's un-American. Well, good night. Yeah, because capitalism, the retail life. Yeah. What's the holiday tomorrow? I should know that because I ordered things for tomorrow and I totally forgot. But anyways, like we have an ordering system that sometimes the bank affects it, but sometimes it doesn't. So MLK. Oh yeah, Martin Luther King. For some reason, I thought that was on January 18th, but clearly I'm wrong. My mom's birthday is what happened on January 18th. MLK. Okay. I have a dream that maybe tonight your girl is going to get more than 3 hours of sleep. Because, yeah, guys, I have not been able to sleep. It's not even stress, it's just flipping, turning, tossing. Am I too cold? Am I too hot? Am I choking on all my layers of clothes? Is the heater getting toasty? is just, yeah. But anyways, all right, guys, I will do the best that I can to be here tomorrow. I don't see why I cannot be here tomorrow, but you guys know that I tend to like not be able to show up sometimes. But yeah, I'm gonna try to be a good girl and be back tomorrow. All right, guys, you guys have a good night.